Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's Shantae from Simply Shantae's Plans. Daily planning is all the rage right now, and while I could talk to you for hours about the benefits of daily planning and why I think everyone should do it, that is not what this video is about. Today I'm going to be comparing 3 popular daily planners that I have used or am planning to use in the very near future. Now, there are tons and tons and tons of daily planners or daily planning notepads that I could share, but these are the 3 most requested on my Instagram page, and also I have used these 3 in the past, so I felt like it could be a fair comparison. I have here the Plum Paper Daily Planner in the A5 size, the Erin Condren Daily Duo in the A5 size, and I also have the new MakseLife Daily Planner in the A5 size. 2 of these planner options, the Erin Condren and the Plum Paper, are available in the 7x9 size as well. However, I have tried daily planning in a 7x9 in the past, and it just really wasn't my jam, which is why I only have A5 options available to show you. But the layout and the pages are very similar in the 7x9 sizes, so if you like either of these 2 books and you want it in a bigger size, be my guest. Go grab those. Okay, I am going to do a really deep dive of these planners. I'm going to talk about a lot of things. I'm also going to show you a mock-up of how I might plan in each one of these planners and a very, very tiny pen test with some of the writing tools that I use most regularly. But first, let's dive into these books. I'm going to get into the actual books themselves here. They each have different thicknesses, and part of that is the cover, part of that is the paper, but a big part of that is the number of months in each book. The Plum Paper here is a 6-month book, but you actually have the choice to choose between 6 months or 12 months. I chose a 6-month book at the time because I wasn't sure if I was going to like it. I wasn't sure if something new or exciting was going to come out, and I didn't want to commit to a whole year. So this is a 6-month book, but you can choose a 12-month book. The Erin Condren Daily Duo is a 6-month book. I have been using this one for the past 5 months, so it's a little chunky, but it is a 6-month book. And then the MakseLife is a 3-month book, so it's 1/4 of the year. That's going to be really important to think about when you start thinking about the price of the book, especially if you want to use a system for more than 3 months or 6 months. Speaking of price, the Plum Paper for the 6-month version starts at $32. They also have the 12-month version available that starts at $52. So if you don't customize, if you don't add any add-ons, this one's going to be the cheapest one for the whole year because it'll run you about $52. One thing to note about Plum Paper is that the books are not sold in bundles. What I mean by that is if you purchase the 6-month book for $32 and it's at the end of the 6 months and you want another one to continue the rest of the year, you'll have to purchase a second one for $32. So that would actually run you about $64 for the year. So slightly elevated from the 112-month book, but that's something that you'll be able to make a choice on. I know there's usually sales throughout the year, so that can help mitigate costs as well, but something to keep in mind. The EC Daily Duo is $68, but it is sold in a set of 2 books. You will get 6 months in one book and 6 months in the other. You actually don't have the option to buy the book separately at this time. You will be spending $68, and it would be for the entire year. It starts at $68, but if you want to upgrade the coil color like I did here, it'll be an additional $10. If you update the coil on one book, it'll automatically update the coil color on the second book. These 2 are different daily duos, which is why the coils are different, but you'd only have to pay that upcharge one time. The MakseLife is going to be the most expensive option. This is a 3-month book, like I said, so if you wanted to use this for the entire year, you're going to have to order 4 of them. One of these is $58, and so that'll run you about $232 for the whole year, which is most definitely the most expensive option out of all 3 of these, but there are some extras with the MakseLife system that, in my opinion, kind of help with the cost. With the Plum Paper and the MakseLife, you don't have to buy them all at one time. You can if you want. If you wanted to order all 4 at once, you could. Or if you wanted to order 2 books at once, you could. But you don't have to, so you could budget for half the year if you needed to do that. In addition to the price, the binding is something that I always consider when I look for a new planner. All 3 of these books came with a standard coil. The Erin Condren Daily Duo is going to come with the standard platinum coil, and I was just mentioning you can upgrade the coil color. The Plum Paper also comes with the standard platinum coil. However, if you want this unpunched, meaning you just want the pages and not the coil, you can do that. Or you can get it disc bound if you wanted to have a disc system. The MakseLife, this is brand new, is on a standard coil as well. It's a platinum coil. There's no option to change the color or anything like that. This is what you are going to get. But as you may know, they have been using the wire O binding for a long time, so bringing out this coil is something very, very, very exciting for a lot of MakseLife users, myself included. Not only is the binding important to me, but the covers are super important to me as well. If you haven't noticed, I'm just pointing out things that I look for in a planner, so hopefully these help you. But the covers. The MakseLife cover is going to be the most permanent. It is pretty solid cardboard type vegan leather. They had 4 color options. I have the blush version here, but I also have the teal. There was 2 more colors that you could choose from. This is pretty permanent, meaning that if you want to take it off, you would have to uncoil the planner to do so. I also have tried to put an interchangeable cover from EC on it, and it fit, but just not perfectly, not the way I wanted it to. So I won't be doing that, but it does fit one if you want to put that on here. Moving into the EC covers, when you order an Erin Condren Daily Duo, again, you're going to get the 2 books. You're going to get to personalize one of the covers. You'll get to choose what it is. You can add a name, etc., etc. The other cover is going to be a cover that you don't personalize but matches the interior theme of the book. The covers are interchangeable, so you can take them off, you can switch them out. I like to switch my EC covers for the season, which is why I have this beautiful pumpkin cover on here. This cover did not come with this book, but that's just showing you how versatile it is and how easy it is to switch out the covers. The Plum Paper covers are by far the most customizable. They have tons of designs on the site. I'm talking tons. When I ordered this book, I spent probably 45 minutes looking through just the cover options, picking the different shape I wanted, the font I wanted, the color I wanted, if I wanted the year, all those kind of things you get to decide. I just decided to go for a simple shape in the middle with my name, but you could add line, like there's a ton of stuff you can do. You can also get them to be interchangeable or not. This one is not interchangeable simply because I didn't know that they were interchangeable at the time of ordering this, but that is an option for you. The cool thing about the EC and the Plum Paper covers is that they fit each other, so if I wanted to put this cover on the Plum Paper, it will work just fine. If you're switching from one of these planner brands to the other, that could be appealing to you, so you don't have to get rid of all your old accessories. They still work. Enough with the outside of the book. I want to start talking about the inside of the books, and I'm going to start with the start months for each book. With the Plum Paper, it is a tabbed book. You can see the tabs here, but the cool thing about it is that you can start whenever you want. When you are customizing the Plum Paper on the website, it gives you a choice between 6 or 12 months. You'll pick, and then it'll give you a choice for start month. This book I had started in April of 2020 and went through September of 2020. That's really when I needed something at the time, and it worked out great, but you can choose. The EC Daily Duo, right now the only start date that is available is January, but when they come out with their new layout and their new planner launch around May, July start will likely be available. So right now you could only get January. In the future you'll only be able to get July, but again, you'll have all 12 months. It'll just be split in 2 books. The tabs are also labeled, and the tab colors match the design theme of the book. I have a Mid-Century Circles and a Flora Daily Duo right here, so that's why my tabs are different colors. MakseLife by far is the most versatile when you're thinking about start date because this is an undated book. So your start date is simply whenever you want. Right now I'm having a hard time deciding if I want to start in December or January, but it doesn't matter because the tabs are unlabeled. They give you stickers to label them if you want, and it's undated, so you can choose to start whenever you want. Along with the start date, the color scheme is something that is super, super, super important to me when thinking about my daily planner because I like to use a lot of stickers, and some days I just like to use highlighters and my mood changes a lot. So I don't like to have anything that is too colorful, and that is simply one of the reasons why I am not going to be using the Plum Paper. The Plum Paper actually has two color schemes. You can choose the colorful one, which I have here, or they have the modern color scheme. When you're customizing on the site, you can choose which one you want, and the palettes are laid out there for you so you can make an informed choice. So there's two layouts there. The Daily Duo right now comes in the Mid-Century Circles layout, or it comes in the Flora layout, and your color scheme is really going to depend on which layout you choose. The Flora has this more muted, kind of sophisticated, elegant color scheme, and the Mid-Century Circles kind of matches the typical EC color scheme that we've seen for a bunch of years. The MakseLife is the most neutral. There's hardly any color on these pages. The biggest area that the color comes in is part of their goal setting system, but there is really not a ton of color on the pages, which is why MakseLife wins in that department for me, because I like it neutral, neutral, and neutral. I'm going to dive into each of these planners now. I'm going to review their monthly sections, their daily pages, and all the extras and everything like that. But I'm going to do them one at a time, but side by side. So I'm going to start with the monthly views with the Plum Paper. I'm just going to set these other two aside. When you open the monthly section for Plum Paper, you come to a title page that has the name of the month on the bottom. You flip it open, you get a beautiful kind of monthly overview, notes or pre-planning page. I honestly never used this page in my Plum Paper daily. I didn't know what to use it for. Also, this paper here is a different texture than this other paper, so my regular gel pen would smudge and it would look ugly, and so I just never used this page. But after the pre-planning, you have the monthly view. This is a Sunday through Saturday start. I believe I chose that option when designing this planner. I think you can choose a Monday through Sunday if you want. Again, Plum Paper is super customizable, so you have a lot of freedom to make this planner your own. It does have this section here. It's not labeled, but there is a small calendar at the bottom for the next month. If you notice, there are no holidays listed on this calendar, and I chose that as well. With Plum Paper, you get to choose if you want holidays on here or not. You can also choose if you want to add your own personal holidays, anniversaries, birthdays, things like that. Of course, doing that will increase the price of the planner, but it is an option for you to consider when making this book. After that, you go right into the daily page, so I'm going to set this aside for a brief moment while I show you the Erin Condren monthly view. So here, the Erin Condren, the tab is labeled, opens right to a beautiful quote page with a design that matches the layout, opens into the monthly section. It is a Sunday through Saturday start. You do not have the choice to change that. That's going to be what you're going to get. And then it has a notes section on the side. That's true for both the Daily Duo and for the Flora version of this planner. You have Sunday through Saturday, notes section, no calendar at the bottom. Erin Condren does have some holidays included in this planner, but they've also started doing this kind of more inclusive practice where they give you more holidays on the back in sticker form that you could add to the book. They did this so that they can include more holidays but also give people the calendar space that they wanted, because there were complaints in the past that there were so many holidays listed in a monthly box that they couldn't actually write their own plans there. So they added this to all of their planners. I think it's a great idea. Also, I always forget about it if I'm being completely honest. So it's nice to have, but you have to remember to use it. Next up is the MakseLife. Their tabs are unlabeled because it is an undated book. However, they give you stickers in the back to label it if you want to. The tab opens to a quote page here. You can see just a beautiful little quote. And then you open to a monthly view. So this one, very, very neutral. Again, my favorite part of the planner. It does have a line for you to write the month on. It's a Sunday through Saturday, and then it has a notes section. It looks very similar to that of the EC, just doesn't have any design or any holidays included. The real only branding on this page is the side. It says MakseLife. Something I care about when I'm looking for a planner is the size of the boxes. So I'm not real great with the exact measurements here, but it looks like the monthly box in the MakseLife is about 1.5 inches wide. And y'all are making me work for this one. And about 1.5 inches tall. For the EC, it looks like they are about 1.5 and 1.5. And then for the plum paper, let's take a look at this one. These ones feel a bit more narrow, but alas, they are about 1.5 and about 1.5. So they're about the same size, the box. They do look a little different for some reason. Maybe it's just my eyes, but they are proving to look very similar in size. Now, when I flip the page in the MakseLife, unlike the Erin Condren and the Plum Paper, there's some extra pages here because this is actually a goal setting system as well as a planner. So you have the goal setting components included, and then what is something special about the MakseLife that's not included in the Erin Condren or the Plum Paper is that they have a page here for your weekly overview. This to me is such a winner because unlike the Plum Paper or the Erin Condren, I don't have to use another planner or add something in to get my weekly view. It's right here. After the weekly view, you go into 7 days of daily pages. Again, they're undated. I'm going to go through these soon. And then the end of the goal setting for that week. So you can see the similarities and differences in the monthly views. I'm going to go over the daily sections now. Let me find one here so you can see the differences in layout amongst each of the 3 planners. This first one is the MakseLife, very neutral page, not a lot of color here. You have a section here that is not labeled, but it most likely will be for your tasks or to-do list because there are little check boxes here for you to check off. You have a spot for the date, a spot for a focus for the day, or however you want to use that. This looks like it's intended to be like a top 3. This looks like it's intended to be a little schedule section because on these little lines right here, there is a colon as if you were going to write in the time. And then you have this blank space at the bottom to do with whatever you want. There are 3 little headings here if you wanted to label something, or you could probably cover that up with a sticker if you don't like it. The paper here is 120 GSM on bright white, so it's really nice smooth paper that is pretty thick also. I've used MakseLife planners for a while and the paper is great, comparable to EC, different but comparable. And then that's pretty much it for the daily layout. You do have a lot of flexibility with this one because there's nothing telling you what to do. There's not really instructions other than the date and the focus, so you could tailor this page to meet your own needs. Moving on, I'm going to flip to my Daily Duo, one of their daily pages. So after the month section in the Daily Duo, you have an overview page as well, and then you get to the daily pages. These pages are also fairly neutral. This is true both for the flora and for the mid-century circles version. Ignore my advent calendar stickers there, but the only real color you have is one strip at the top that matches the monthly theme color. And after that on the page you have a scheduled section that runs from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. with an additional line down here. I'm guessing if you wanted to make that 8 p.m. or something like that. You have some blank space over here on the side, a short to-do list, and then some more blank space on the bottom. Personally, I would have preferred if EC would have extended this to-do list all the way to the bottom and left the times blank. I don't like that the times are there because a lot of times my days don't start at 6 a.m. and they definitely don't start at 6 a.m. on a Saturday like they do in this book. So when I was using the EC Daily Duo, I found a lot of times I was changing my schedule to fit the book, and that's just not how a planner should be used, in my opinion. Your planner should help you with your personal plans, not dictate what those plans should be. So I don't like that it has that there. Also, 7 p.m. is not when my day ends a lot of the time, and so I don't like that. I feel restricted in that way. But it is a really neutral page. It has the standard EC paper that we all know and love, and it doesn't have a lot of bleed through or shadowing, which is really, really nice as well. I do like that they don't have a lot of color on here. I don't necessarily understand why this little calendar is on every single page. However, that doesn't bother me as much as the blank square at the bottom or the times on the schedule. So that's a personal preference, but it's there on every page if that matters to you. Okay, and let me show you now the daily page in a plum paper. A plum paper, again, super duper customizable. You have a lot of choices, and one choice that I made when I made this planner is to leave all the sections blank. You do have the choice to label them on your own. You can choose your own labels. Each time there's like a green line that's kind of like a heading for a section, or they have kind of a blanket one that you can just put on if you're not creative or don't care. So this area is like a top 3 type section. This is like a schedule type section. Extra schedule to-do list tasks section. The thing I like about this page the most is that, especially because there's no headings, you can do absolutely anything you want to do on this page. There is no instructions, there's no layout, there's no expectation. You can tailor it to use it however it's going to be most beneficial for you that day. I think out of the 3 planners that I'm showing that I have used, this one gave me the most freedom and felt like I had the most room to get everything down. The thing I don't like about it is that there is a lot of color on the page, and the color is not the same. If you notice here, this is sort of an ombre green. This is a different green than the line above it. The title and the date, Monday the 2nd in this case, they're the same color green, but one is bolded, so it almost looks like a different color green, and that bothers me. I don't like this color scheme either. I would definitely go back and choose the modern one, but there's a lot of like the same color peach that just didn't really flow with my aesthetic, so I don't like that this is super colored. If they ever came out one with that was completely grayscale, I would definitely choose the plum paper, I think. I'm not trying to make ultimatums here, but if they came out with a grayscale, I would be more willing to use this one. The paper is pretty smooth. It has some issues with stickers. I definitely am not able to remove stickers off of this without undo. I tried in the past and it kind of ripped pages up and everything like that. So definitely not sticker friendly, but most of my pens and highlighters that I chose to use, as long as I let it dry for a few seconds before trying to smudge it. Okay, in this book, just like EC and the MakseLife, you are going to have your Saturday and Sundays on separate pages. So if that's important to you, that's something that is featured in all 3 of these books. In addition to the daily pages, all 3 of these books come with a few extras. The plum paper at the end of the book has some notes pages that you can utilize for different things. It also has a My Contacts page, and then it has a passwords page and forward planning for 2022 or the next year. Plum paper has a ton of different add-ons you can add. They have a budget, a home, a find, just a ton of different add-ons. It also comes with a 2-pocket folder coiled right into the book, and then of course the back cover. If you wanted to add more notes pages, Plum Paper gives you that option, so you have to check out that on the website because there's a lot of choices to make. EC, they come in the back. You get some stickers coiled in, so you have 2 pages of coiled in stickers. Then you have the holiday stickers that I mentioned and a 2-folder pocket before you get to the back cover. There aren't a ton of notes pages in the Daily Duo for EC, which was really surprising to me. You really only get this one page that is the end of the month. So I actually am not a fan of that. You also can't add notes pages if you wanted to, and to me that's just not cool. In the front you do have some pre-planning little sections here if you wanted to mark this up somehow, but because it's so tiny and there's not a lot of like space, for me this doesn't feel super useful because I don't know what I would do here. Like, would I use my dot marker? I don't know. But though there's these 6 boxes here too that I guess you could use, but for me, it's not enough, and I don't appreciate that feature. One last thing I want to point out on the EC is that at the end of each month, you do get like 1 notes page, but again, that's not enough. For the whole month, it's just not enough. So, for me, the notes pages or the extras in the EC definitely don't win. The MakseLife has a ton of extras, which is probably why the book is only a 3-month book. And a part of that, again, is because it is a goal setting system, so there is goal setting aspects. You have this whole tab here with getting started with how to set your goals, making annual goals, making a vision board, brainstorming, information about goal setting. So that's a whole section on itself. Then you have a section in the back called extras, and that is where your notes pages are. In this case, they're dot grid notes pages. And you have 2 different folders. You have one on the back cover, you have a page of stickers, and then you have another 2 pocket folder here. And all these notes pages and some future planning pages. But you also have a tab in the back for your quarterly assessment, which is a feature of the MakseLife goal setting system, which I'm not going to get into right now. I'll have another video on that later. But in each monthly section, and weekly section, I should say, you also have additional pages. So you have your monthly goals. Each week you have a brainstorming notes page. You also have your weekly actions that are tied to your monthly goals. And you have the weekly overview page. So the MakseLife has a lot of extra pages involved in between the dailies, which is why this book is probably only 3 months. And for me, because I am really invested in the MakseLife system, I'm super stoked that they are in this really portable daily format. Alright, that's pretty much the rundown on the contents of each book. If you have more specific questions about that, please let me know. I'm happy to answer. I literally love talking about planners, so if you have questions, let me know. But what I want to show you right now is a typical what a plan in each of these books would look like for me. So if you are considering one of these options and you're like, I actually don't know what it would look like to plan, you have an example or an idea. I mentioned earlier that the Plum Paper is the one that I felt most comfortable in as far as space wise, and that's because there's really an area for each thing that I like to put in my daily planner. You see here that I made my own headings by using a mod liner and a pen. This is most likely what my planner would look like on an average day. In fact, if you looked back at the other months, you see there wasn't a whole lot of stuff. I hope I didn't show anything confidential just now, but you see that. So I have a spot for my Apple Watch rings. This is something I really like to track every day. It's really motivating for me. I have something for my schedule. I wrote in 7 to 4, but I could have easily written in 9 to 6 or whatever time I wanted to. This just is what worked out for this day. I have a section to track what I ate in the day and also my water intake. This bottom area I liked to use for memory or gratitude. In this shaded square, I put my workout, if I worked out. I also put how many steps I had that day, my total calories burned, all information that I got from my Apple Watch that I like to track each day. And then this long list here I used for my to-do list or my tasks. So this spread, I really felt like I could get everything I wanted to get in it. It had its own space and it wasn't crowded. I did a very similar spread here in my Daily Duo. Now my Daily Duo, I always say that I'm never going to use stickers, but the reality of it is I use stickers a lot in this book and it made it really chunky, but it also made it hard to get everything that I wanted to get in. So moving forward, I told myself, and for the last few days I had told myself that I will just be using pen and highlighter, so I mocked up a similar pen and highlighter in this book. And while I was able to fit the majority of the things, I was able to write my to-do list with room to spare my meals with a little room to spare my water, my apple rings, and my workout. It felt really squished to use this bottom square for that, but there's really no other place to do it. I guess I could try to put it up here, but again, this is even smaller than this space, so it felt really squished. I felt like I misused a lot of space on the calendar, actually schedule side, because there's large chunks of time that are just empty. But again, because these times were dictated for me, I really didn't get a chance to utilize the space as well as I would have liked to. I could have whited out the times and rewrote them, and I have done that in the past, but if I'm thinking about how much time I usually have for daily planning and like the functionality of that, it's just not for me. I did this spread in probably 5 minutes. This one took me closer to 8, and that was because I also, you know, was drawing things and everything like that. So this one wasn't my favorite layout, and that's actually why I went to Plum Paper in the first place. I had started with an EC Daily Duo in the 7x9 size, and even in the 7x9 size, I just didn't feel like I had everything I needed, and then I went to the Plum Paper after that, but then went back to the EC Daily Duo because the color was driving me absolutely bananas, and that's where we're at now. Third layout is the MakseLife, and I'm actually showing you a mock-up on their daily layout notepad. And the reason I'm doing this is because I haven't decided when I'm going to start this book yet, if I'm going to start in December or January, so I want to keep it clean just in case. And also, this daily notepad is the same exact layout that you'll find in the book for the daily sections. I'll show you just so you can see here. It's the exact same and the size is the exact same, so it's pretty realistic comparison using the notepad. But here you can see that I was able to add in my tasks just like I was on the Daily Duo, and here in the Plum Paper, right there, room to spare. I wrote in my schedule, again I did 7 to 2, but I could have easily put any other time. I also skipped a line each time, and I wouldn't have to do that. I could have done 7, 8, 9, 10, you know, and had a longer time frame on this sheet. I just didn't want to do that today, but because it's a undated, I can move it around however I want. I also had a top 3. I wrote a word of the day, and then I had a section to parse out my AM and PM routine as well as my wellness. I could have easily made one of these sections my meals, which I did have in my Erin, Condren, and in my Plum Paper, but I didn't. I chose to actually write out my AM and PM routine instead of just checking it off that I did it, because I'm more likely to do it if I have to check off each thing. I had enough room for my water, my rings, and my steps. Didn't have room to write my full workout, but again, if I reworked this bottom section, I definitely could. So there's a lot of flexibility in the MakseLife as well. In my opinion, speaking strictly for myself, the Plum Paper is my favorite layout. However, the color and the paper being a little bit more finicky knocks it out for me, and I'm really excited to move forward with the MakseLife Daily because of the flexibility, because of the weekly view, because it's neutral, and because the paper is high quality. So that's what I'll be going with for the next year. But before I completely sign off, I did want to show a mini pen test. Now, I really only have been reaching for my Pentel Energel in free pen for the past probably 4 months. So I only use that pen with my MakseLife. It did have a little bit of smudge, so you're gonna need to do a little bit of wait time. Also swatched my Sharpie S Note, my mild liners, and my EC dual tip highlighters because I use those on a regular basis. And there's really no ghosting on the other side. If you can see, it's really great. They did require a little bit of dry time. I wouldn't, you know, swipe it right away and then touch it. Otherwise, you're going to get a little bit of a smudge. With the exact same pens and markers, I did that on my Plum Paper. This one I was really careful on, and I still smudged it. So you have to be a little bit more careful and give a little bit more drying time with the Plum Paper, but it's fairly good with ghosting and shadow through. You can't really tell too much out here. And finally, my EC. This is probably the best paper, wins for paper quality in my opinion. I did the same markers, the same pen. Didn't really need any dry time. However, my Sharpie S Notes, you could see through the paper. So that was something I was not expecting. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. I hope it helped you decide which one of these daily planners is right for you, if any. If you have any questions, like I mentioned, please let me know here in the comments or over on my Instagram page at simplyshantays_plans. It was a pleasure walking through these planners for you today. I hope to catch you in my next video.